So the other day, I released a segment that was titled something along the lines of Joe Biden gives up on his presidency. And at the time, that's really the most straightforward interpretation you could have of the events that were occurring, because Joe Biden said, I don't want to get rid of the filibuster. I believe it was he doesn't even want to reform the filibuster at the time. And then you had Joe Manchin as well basically say, if you don't have bills with bipartisan support moving forward, I will block every bill moving forward. So you need to get at least one Republican on the record being for your bill, or I'm out. So if that set of facts remained, it really would be the end of Biden's presidency, and you really would have given up, because you're not going to get anything done that way at all. If you keep the filibuster and you don't reform the filibuster, and every piece of legislation has to be bipartisan, you're just not going to get anything through, because it's impossible. You have 51 on the Democratic side. You need 60 votes to get through regular order because everything is auto filibustered. There's no way you're going to get 9 Republicans to join you. It's mission impossible. Guys, when they passed Obamacare, which is a right-wing healthcare reform that came from the Heritage Foundation and was supported by Newt Gingrich and Chuck Grassley and Mitt Romney, when they passed that, they did it with no Republican votes. So during the Obama era, Obama would do Republican policies, and Republicans would say, now we're against Republican policies because you're for them. And they're going to be exactly that obstructionist this time around, too. So it really looked like game, set, match on his entire presidency. Well, now he swoops in at the last minute, and he saves his own ass.
So aren't you going to have to choose? I know you've been reluctant to do away with the filibuster. Aren't you going to have to choose between preserving the filibuster and advancing your agenda?
Yes. But here's the choice. I don't think you have to eliminate the filibuster. You have to do it what it used to be when I first got to the Senate and back in the old days when you used to be around there. And that is that a filibuster, you had to stand up and command the floor. And you had to keep talking alone. You couldn't call for, no one could say, quorum call. Once you stopped talking, you lost that, and someone could move in and say, I moved the question of. So you got to work for the filibuster.
So you're for that reform. You're for bringing back the talking filibuster.
I am. That's what it was supposed to be. Look, I think, don't hold me to the numbers, George, but I think between 1960 and 2000, there were like, I'm making this number up, I don't know. There were like, 50 filibusters. And now they're like 200 since then. Since that
just put a hold on it, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, so the idea, it almost is getting to the point where there's, democracy's having a hard time functioning. And so, look, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, George, but I do believe there's enough Republicans over time who are going to have, look,
they haven't had that epiphany you said you were going to see in the campaign.
No, well, I've only been here 6 weeks, pal. Okay, give me a break. Been here 6 weeks. I think the epiphany is going to come between now and 2022. This is there's 78% of the people say they support this program. 52% of Republicans. Let's assume it's off by 15%. You're going to go home and campaign. Republican voters want that $1,500.
Republican voters want it, but all of the politicians are against it. That's literal. All of the politicians are against it. 59% of Republican voters wanted that COVID relief package, but all of the politicians are against it. So there will be no epiphany. There will be no enlightenment light bulb moment for these elected Republicans. And that part is incredibly delusional and naive. For a guy who's like 117 years old, that is like real Bush League stuff. That's rookie, amateur nonsense right there. I get it, Joe. You have a personal relationship with some of the Republicans. They don't give a goddamn about your personal relationship. In fact, they'll keep that personal relationship going with you, as they also are against every legislative proposal you have. So it's funny because he has this childish view. At the same time, he said at the beginning, like, yes, I do have to pick between eliminating the filibuster or reforming the filibuster and my own legacy. So how could you don't you see that those things are contradictory? The first statement was correct. You're right. If you don't get rid of or reform the filibuster, your legacy's donezo. No question about it. But then he goes on to say, no, I think between now and 2022, they'll have some sort of epiphany. Hey, pal, I've only been here 6 weeks. Give me a break. Doesn't matter if you're there 6 weeks, 16 weeks, 60 weeks, or 6,000 weeks. They're not going to do Dickie McGeezax with you, son. They're not going to do it. They're partisan hack goons. They're not going to do it. So really, the thing that should be done is exactly what he's calling for here. Make the filibuster again. Make the filibuster the talking filibuster, which was the original idea. And then you actually force them to work to block legislation. And they will not be able to block nearly as much because it's a pain in the ass to filibuster. So yeah, they won't be able to block it if you do that. That's what they need to do. And if they do that, well, you also shine a spotlight on the things that they're against. So let's say you reform the filibuster, make it the original filibuster again. Well, then when you try to pass a minimum wage increase, if one of the Republicans wants to filibuster a minimum wage increase, be my guest, bitch. You're going to make a fool of yourself. This is an 80% issue with the American public. You're going to go up there and act like you're some sort of hero crusading for justice when only 20% of the country agrees with your position. By all means, you're doing our work for us. You're doing the left's work for us in terms of the next election. Nobody's going to want to vote for you if you're up there, I'm against higher wages and I don't care who knows it. Okay, thank you for being a complete and utter idiot. We appreciate that. So yes, that is the answer. That absolutely is the answer. But the other point that you need to make is something he almost nails here, which is the bill's bipartisan even if you pass it with just Democratic votes. Now, you might hear that and say, wait, what? That makes no sense. Isn't that like the opposite of the definition of bipartisan? No, because I just told you, 59% of Republican voters were for that COVID relief bill. A lot of these ideas that we're talking about proposing and attempting to pass, these are ideas that have over 50% Republican voter support, or in the ballpark of 50% Republican support. So if you have like 80 or 90% of Democratic voter support and 50% of Republican voter support, that's bipartisan. You say it's bipartisan among the people, among the American people whose will is actually supposed to be represented in this god-awful town. That's what you say. So I don't care that the swamp is against my legislation. I wear that as a badge of honor if the swamp is against my legislation. You know, if Mitch McConnell is against my legislation, wonderful. That guy's phenomenally corrupt, and he's been so since 1796. I mean, what a joke. So, listen, in the same way that we said previously, Biden gives up on his presidency, today, Biden saved his own presidency's ass. He really did. He just saved his own ass here. So, I mean, credit where it's due. If they do this, a lot more will get done. Now, to be clear, it's still going to be difficult, and you're still going to have run-ins with Joe Manchin, and you're going to butt heads, and, you know, Biden would need to be smart and use the carrot or stick approach, and would have to, you know, sort of make Manchin and Sinema heal from time to time with various things, but you will actually get some stuff done if you make the filibuster again. Bring back the original filibuster, the talking filibuster. Right now, the way it works is the minority party could just say, we are declaring that we are filibustering and now you need 60 votes. Nobody has to talk. Nobody needs to exert any effort. So go back to the original filibuster, and then if you do that, you might actually slap together some decent proposals and pass them and be wildly popular. Again, don't get it twisted. He's underwhelming to this point, in my opinion, because he said $2,000 checks immediately. They didn't do $2,000 checks. They didn't do it immediately. They did $1,400 checks, and it took a while. Okay? Not good. They already dropped the $15 minimum wage from the COVID relief proposal. They subsidized COBRA, which was a giant giveaway to the for-profit health insurance companies. There's a lot of problems you could point to. A lot of them. But it's also the situation that it polls at like over 70%, this bill, you know? So he can at the same time be underwhelming, but also have good grades from the country, good marks from the country. And that's what's happening. So if they were to go about this and do what he's advocating for here, that would be huge. And that would make it so that a lot more things are possible. So let's do it, baby. Let's do it. And you know what? It actually worked out kind of well, because by having the left advocate for just eliminating the filibuster, what happened? Now you made the compromise position bring back the original filibuster, the talking filibuster. Now, by the way, I told you guys this before. That's always been my position, is to bring back the talking filibuster. Because when the left and when Democrats are in the minority party, I want to have the ability to have to go up there and talk for weeks and block something, you know? I want us to have that tool when we're in the minority party. So that's why I want the talking filibuster. I don't want to eliminate the filibuster. Well, guess what? Like I said, now that's the compromise position, and we might actually get it. But listen, if they don't make that change, if they don't get the talking filibuster, then yeah, the original thing that we were talking about was correct, which is Biden gives up on his presidency and nothing major will get done for the rest of his time in office. But if they do bring back the talking filibuster, stuff will get done. How good that stuff is yet to be seen. My guess is it'll be half good, half neoliberal corporate crap. But, you know, we'll judge that when we see it. But this is the correct answer. And this is what needs to be done. And this is a big change from what he was saying previously. Before, he was just like, shut up about the filibuster, it's staying as it is. Now he's like, well, we should bring back the original one. That's the answer. Let's do that, and let's do it now.